Hello and welcome to the Breakout Podcast. My name is Damon Nichols, and this is the podcast where we speak with high achieving people. And today I have a guest that's been a good friend of mine. He's my mentor when it comes to my physical health, my workout partner. This guy has pushed me in so many different directions. He's also my business partner. Please welcome Jake Prine. Jake,
Yeah, hey guys.
hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going pretty good. It's cold here in Colorado.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I think it's a little warmer today than it has been. I think it showed 3 degrees. So yeah,
Something there, yeah. Getting out and wanting to do anything is a bit of a pain. Yeah,
yeah, I know. Especially the last couple of days, it's been rough. We've had to work out in a rather cold environment. It takes such a big building, takes so long to heat that it's been not too fun, but hopefully we're past that. So
yeah. There's something special about getting in the dungeon and hammering out those grueling workouts, but then you also suffer all the other stuff that comes with it and being cold. But once you get moving, it's not so bad.
no, no. And that's the whole key is to get moving where you're not cold. So,
That's right.
but you know, it doesn't matter, what your conditions are when you've got something like, what we've got coming up this weekend, you find a way to, make it through it. And that's all about mindset. And that's, really what this podcast is about. It's about breaking, down belief systems and limiting beliefs, things that we, sometimes we avoid just because it's uncomfortable. And we've kind of pushed through a lot of those barriers to become uncomfortable in so many different aspects. And, it's made us, it puts people like us in a different playing field because we're willing to step out of our comfort zone and really experience some discomfort in order to grow. So if you would like maybe talk a little bit about your experience with what it takes to prepare for an event. Maybe talk about the event that we've got coming up, and then what it takes to kind of prepare for something like that.
Yeah, sure. So this is going to be a team competition in CrossFit. And if people aren't familiar, I mean, I'm sure at this point you've heard about CrossFit and maybe there's some discourse and some negativity towards it, or the positivity of it. But it's really just taking different sports and kind of molding them together so we can take fundamentals of all the sports from gymnastics to, calisthenics to powerlifting to bodybuilding and all that, and taking all the fundamentals of that and being able to put it together in one programming and then kind of doing it at an intense level. And the competition portion of that is, kind of what separates people when it's CrossFit, because you can do CrossFit and sort of functional fitness type of stuff. Um, just you set up programs that have 10 minutes of work or 5 rounds of this, but it's the competition portion that kind of separates that, where you're now doing this at such an intense level of, can you match VO2 maxes when it comes to an aerobic and anaerobic movement? Can you go from something that's a skilled movement that's taken you a year to learn and now be able to do it at a high volume mix with things that are just a regular anaerobic movement? It's still increasing deadlifts, it's still learning how to do a snatch. So you still have to be strong, but you also have to be fast, and you really have to focus on mobility. You have to focus on just all the little intricacies that just normal fitness doesn't necessarily do, which is probably why it gets a little bit of a negative connotation, just because there are lots of ways to injure yourself because some of the movements are so complicated. But I think it's that. I think that's what really draws me to it, is that it forces me to, have to focus on every portion of my body. And you and I have gone through this journey for a long time. And I came from a little bit more of that bodybuilding realm of just trying to chase the pump and trying to, get as sore as I possibly can to, I just could no longer, I graduated high school at 125 pounds. Most people are 125 pounds, especially guys, by the time they're eighth grade, and I'm graduating high school at that. So I kind of just just got asphyxiated on wanting to be big, and I think there's a lot of people in these generations from mine to newer and newer and newer where, that vanity of just wanting to be as big as a bus, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, well, I did anyway, that I was just eating like a garbage truck all the time to just keep on weight. And I've got a high metabolism, and some people struggle with a low metabolism. And so you're doing some of the opposite stuff, but we're so asphyxiated on wanting to look a certain way versus, I think we all agree we want to feel a certain way, oh, for my kids, I want to be able to run around with them, or I want to know that I could, go do this and that, not be out of breath. But, where we've sort of lost a little bit of that when it comes to, we're just so obsessed with that vanity. And then now you're looking at, modern day bodybuilding, and it's just all, just massive guys that are just loaded up on gear and on steroids, that it's just not necessarily an achievable thing. And it's really something that we shouldn't be preaching to our younger youth, that 97% of them are not going to understand the chemistry, the biology, all the stuff that comes with it to do it. If there's a safe realm per se, that's an argument in itself, but they're not going to understand that kind of stuff. So I like changing over to functional fitness, because now, I mean, you started off, you were just a runner.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with you at the barbecue place, and it was like, I just run, I just do Tough Mudders. That's all I, really care to do. And it was like, no, I'd love to get into that kind of stuff too, because I've ran Spartan races for a long time. But then as we got, training a little bit, I started realizing, whoa, I have a lot more capability here. And, just sort of being that one-sided, well-rounded. Now, if you're out there and you're running because you just, love to do it, it's a passion, it makes you feel good, releases those good things, you like being out in nature, that's perfectly fine. But then you also have time where you can spend a little bit trying to be a little bit more well-rounded, and making sure that you're getting some weight training in, making sure that you're getting, everything that your body needs. So we go into this partner competition. It's in Colorado Springs, and you're with a partner, and you got basically 4 workouts that are roughly between about 5 and 12 minutes long, that you're competing against, 25 of the other best in the area, and seeing if you can work together with a partner. Not everybody's built the same. So my partner is about 30 pounds heavier than me, so put a barbell behind him and he's a monster. But what comes to some of the body weight movements, and that's going to be more my forte. And can you be able to balance that and accentuate what they're good at while also what you're good at too. And so the mindset that comes with that is just planning. It's planning and training. That's really it, and doing the best you can.
There's definitely a balance, and you really have to be well-rounded in a little everything. And I think that's where, like, the stuff that we train for, yeah, I think so much more beneficial, because it's not just, you're not just doing one thing. And like, through our experience, we've been able to go out and like do all kinds of different competitions. And I like to know that, if I'm going to go do, I can go do obstacle course races, or I could go do distance races, I could go do triathlons, or I could go do CrossFit competitions, or whatever it is. I just like the ability to be able to go out and do whatever I want, and keep my body in this really, good shape, especially at my age. And I don't see a lot of guys doing this stuff in their mid 50s. Usually they're, if you've done this for a long time, you should either got some injuries, or you're worn out, or, you know, or you just like decide like me that, 50 years old, I want to go get into CrossFit. So it's
Well,
nice.
yeah, and well, it's a muscle, it's a muscle that you have to be able to, like, just like anything else. You work hard, you do cardio so you can get a strong heart. You work your biceps, you work your triceps, you work your legs so you can have strong arms and legs, right? Well, it's the same thing of how you set up structure in your life. So, this is important because, and I teach this, I was in education for a long time, and teaching this of, when kids are in classes that they don't necessarily enjoy, you still have to learn how to do things that you don't necessarily want to do in the day. That's just part of life. That's human nature to have to learn how to do that. So as we sort of expand into this, not just being good at one thing. I mean, all of our listeners that are out there, if you just said that all you were good at doing is making money, but you were poor at relationships with your family, you were poor at relationships with your friends, you were poor at all this stuff, you wouldn't say that that'd be a very fulfilling life, right? So being able to find balance in even all the other aspects of your life, not saying that our physical wellness is the direct influence of that. But as we start to morph all aspects of our life together, that can be one portion. So can we balance our physical wellness and be strong while also being quick, while also being, having good endurance and all that stuff, to being able to know, can we have good relationships with our spouse? Can we have good relationships with our kids? Can we get on there and hustle our money and run our business right? Can we, figure out when we get in a hole and we something crazy financial comes up, can we figure out means to be able to solve that problem, right? And so it's balance altogether. And I think if you can take just even a physical wellness, that can translate and push out to, all different aspects of your life. And that's what's so important about it.
Yeah. So oftentimes I see, especially in the bodybuilding area, and I may end up getting some haters from this, but I see a lot of people that have so much unresolved trauma, and they have a lot of identity issues, and they have things that they haven't worked through. So for them, that's a way of, compensating for some sort of an identity problem or something that happened to them when they were younger that makes them feel, not as significant, or, it's a self-worth issue. I see that a lot of that in people, and that's just my honest opinion. And I've dealt with people like that. They have these images of themselves that, it's not, maybe the rest of the world doesn't see them that way, but they feel like they've got to do something to look better, and it's an external. They're trying to, fix something externally, where they need to go inside and probably fix something internal, because they're trying to put on this mask or this shell, or look something, a facade, to make up for something that happened to them, as a child, something that they didn't work through, some kind of trauma, or some kind of, rental issue, or whatever. But I see that with a lot of people that are, in this area, especially people that go out to just get as big and jacked as possible, and maybe
And
that's
there's a certain realm for that. Yeah, there's a certain realm for that. I mean, you can, there's totally, if you do it in the right way, because we know that, this whole thing is about mindset. That's what everything, your book that's sitting behind you, that's the whole thing that this is about. And if we don't go into things with the right mindset, then we're deceiving ourselves. So you're saying that you're going to get some flack from maybe some of the things that you said, but that's the hard stuff and the hard questions that people are not asking themselves. It's so easy to mask things over with that. Well, if I could just get, as big as a bus and no one wants to mess around with me, or I can walk around the streets with, my arms, way out here because I'm so big, that somehow covers that stuff up. But
hurt you. Who hurt you at one point in your life that's causing you to have to feel like that?
right.
So
So if you decide to get as big as a bus and all that because that's your choice, I have met some very, very humble guys, but they tend to be more old school guys of that they're as big as a bus, they're as strong as an ox, but they have this sense of, humbleness in their life that they only do it for them. It has nothing to do with a vanity or any of that kind of stuff. It's all just about that. This is just what I enjoy doing. And I don't walk in. I am the most friendly guy that you'll ever meet. I mean, we were in New Jersey and we met probably the biggest guy that was there, and he was
yeah,
super impressed. We were doing nothing that he was doing whatsoever. We were on two completely ends of the spectrum, but he absolutely respected that. And he came up to us and he was one of the nicest guys. And those are the kind of people that you want, that, do whatever you want with your physical wellness and how you want to look and all that stuff or whatever. But if it's not right up here and you're not doing it for the right reasons, then you need to rethink, kind of what path that you're going on, or at least give yourself purpose. And it needs to be, that we always talk about call to action. You want that call to action. And so if it's that I want to get this way because, maybe I now realize that for me, I got into bodybuilding because I was that skinny kid. I know exactly the reason why I got into it. I wanted to get as big as possible because I was so used to being the super skinny one. And then when I realized, is that really what's important? No, it's not. That's not what's important. What's important is that I'm in good shape, but I also have a competitive nature, so this works out for me.
yeah. Well, it makes a difference when you've got a competitive nature. When you're a super competitive guy, then, that's it helps. It goes with it, and it pushes you to become better. So for me, I just, I spent so many years, not, I looked at what I considered myself to be as, you know, at one point, pretty much just like a dirt bag. I was a nobody. I did a lot of shit that was, not good, and I didn't really like who I was, and I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like, you know, really anything about myself. And as I started to become better, and I got into, fitness, and started to, like what I was seeing more, and just becoming better all the way around, doing work, deep work, along with, physical work, and just every day trying to become the best version of myself that I can, to where I finally got to a point where, like, I'm really happy with where I'm at in life, how I look in life, how I feel in life, and to the point where now I can share that and help others, find that same thing and find that joy, because really it's all what we go for, peace and comfort, and to find joy and happiness in our lives. And really that's what, everybody wants. And sometimes it's really hard to find.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I watch these videos of, potential influencers. They like to film themselves working out or, just whatever inside the gym. And, but is, this sort of, again, call to action of what purpose is that serving? So you may be showing somebody, oh, here's how I do this movement, but are you creating programs for people? Are you being that mentor? Is there a message behind it? Are you trying to promote things that are, that we're using fitness as an outlet to get a certain message across, whatever, are we doing that? Or then I see the videos that, if somebody walks in front of your video while you're trying to film it when it's a packed gym that has 300 people in it, you're getting pissed off every time. So exactly where, where are we headed with this? And I think we've just kind of built that. Social media has built a thing where, we're doing that right now. We're doing this digitally and we're trying to do things that are positive and get a good message out. But there's a lot that just use it to exploit, to just showcase themselves. And I'm not sure that that's really benefiting to anything.
Yeah. Well, I know for both of us, our mission, we have the same goal, and that's to, try to, how can we help people? What experiences can we share that might benefit somebody else, or keep somebody else from going through some of the same things that we went through? Or how can we help people work through some kind of an issue, maybe find some kind of an unresolved trauma, or some sort of a mental block, or something that's holding them back or keeping them from becoming their true selves, or unlocking their true potential. So I know we both, um, that's kind of where we're at in life. And you know, I don't think a lot of people are on that same page. And when you go out and try to take your experience and use it to benefit others, then, I think that's our goal, at least, is to try to help others become, better, the best version of themselves they can.
Well, yeah, and you've done that. So, you sit behind you and you have a number one bestseller sitting behind you of a book that you wrote, right? Those are in your words of the experiences that you've gone through. But then, there's a lesson at the end. There's that call to action. So, and for me, in my case, I've done several rounds of what's called Addicts Athlete, where I work with addicts that are either they've had sobriety for 12 years, but they just need certain things to keep them accountable, to the ones that are, newly into sobriety and ones that are still struggling to find it. But fitness can be a powerful thing in that, it releases so many good endorphins in your brain that, if you're needing sort of that mental high kind of thing, there's certain things that kind of match that when you do certain fitness stuff. And then the education, and that's the reason a lot of people don't do physical wellness all that well, is because they just don't know. they're just uneducated, and that's just about almost everything. We make mistakes in life. We make decisions based on our environment of probably a lack of education, and hopefully, everybody out there is trying to take their day and at least learn something throughout the day. And that's through different people, through, just research, just, instead of scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and looking at pointless posts. Are you on good news threads or something, or are you in a mastermind group that gets with like-minded people that want to level up? And are you bouncing ideas off? Are you investing? Are you learning how to invest? Are you trying to, build a program? And so that's where we can show value in that, is that I think there's a lot of people that could go out there and say the exact same things that we're doing, but what is it after that that's really helping people get there? And that's with your programming, with everything that you're doing on your website, and the things with the breakout, and what I can do with addicts athletes, and and together with that actually has, some boundaries, or not necessarily boundaries, but it just it lays out a script where we can actually say, hey, we have something that's actually built where you can see it in front of your face. Because some people are going to be the visual learner, some are going to be the, listening learner and all that, and we have kind of all that put together where we can really help people out. Because I mean, really, in a sense, we're just, for me, it doesn't have to be that you're hooked on heroin or you're hooked on meth. You could be hooked on food. You could be hooked on a lack of food. You could be hooked on that you are a people pleaser and that you only say yes to everybody else and don't focus on yourself. So an addict can be anybody, every one of us, every one of you listening, all that. We are all addicts in some way, shape, or
You
form.
know,
And if you are neglecting your physical wellness, then there's just a lack of balance in life, and we can find that.
mhm. Yeah, there's so many different issues out there. One that I see is a big one, and it's a freaking monster. It is porn. I see that with a lot of people, and it consumes their lives, and I don't think it's talked about very often. It's one of those, I don't know, kind of taboo things, but I know personally so many people that have, marriages that could be so much better because they got a porn addiction, and it shows up in such a bad way in relationships. You can never become fully committed to your partner if you have that, and like that is an addiction that's just as bad, if not worse than um, drugs. So a lot of people don't want to mention that, but you know what, I am, because it's an addiction, and it's something that is, it's destroying families, and it's destroying so many so many relationships. But I think it needs to be addressed, in it's an issue. So I just figured
Well,
I'd
and
bring
yeah,
it
that's
up.
tough.
Yeah, I'd
It's
bring
not
it up.
it's not illegal. It's not
Yeah,
illegal. You literally can pull out your phone and pull it up anytime. Like if I were to be like, oh, I just all of a sudden want to get on heroin, yeah, I'd have to go probably start asking around. It takes some
yeah,
groundwork to try and figure out how I was going to get my hands on it, how to do it, how to use it, whatever, But so there's a whole learning curve when it comes to that. It's a whole lifestyle, it's a whole different set of friends and all that stuff, but not when it comes to that. That's a solo adventure, and you can, yeah, I mean, you literally, you and I both could right now and be having that stuff up within 10 seconds, and so could everybody else with, just how um dominant it is and how easy access it is on our phones.
yeah. And it's so bad. It wasn't like, when I was a kid, you'd go down, and they had the Playboy or the Hustler behind the shelf with a thing in front of it. It's completely different stuff now. It's like drugs. Drugs were one thing at one time, and they've advanced so far to where, they just a little bit can, kill you or completely consume everything about you. And the same goes for porn. It was this little thing, and over the years now it's blown up into this monster. It's shoved in our kids' faces. It's put in schools. It's everything. Our advertisement in every way, and it's just our system, our um, politics have made it okay, and they push this a little more and a little more and a little more to make it, just basically uncovering a human. Let's take a little bit of more cloth away, a little bit more, let's make it a little bit more seductive until, what we have as our norm now, if you were to take and put that stuff on TV 40, 50 years ago, it'd be completely forbidden. Now it's just everywhere. It's mainstream. It wouldn't have been 30 or 40 years ago. People would have freaked out on it. But now it's just people have become so numb to it, and our society has gotten to the point where it's been become okay with so many different things, and it's sad, but we need to speak out on things like that. So many people just let things go and are like, you know what, it doesn't concern me, so I'm not gonna. But in reality, it does. If your kids are involved, if you know your community's involved, it does concern you. So anyway, I guess another tangent we were off on there. So um, I guess I'll that's pretty much enough on that. I said my piece on that.
Yeah, and really, I mean, full circle, it comes down to is that, we talk a lot about like, structure and what you're doing with your day. If it's a lack of physical fitness, if it's a lack of spending the time to work on your relationships, it's the, not going into your work week, to the best ability, or, and that could be from that you just don't like your job. You know that you're capable of more, and that's where you come in and can show that you don't have to be that 9 to 5 type of person. And so we always just ask, and it's that kind of first initial question is all of, and we've been to so many events where they ask the same thing, are you happy with your life and are happy with yourself? Right? Because those are the big things, and those incorporate all the people that you're around, all the actions, all the things that you have, that you don't have, that you think that you should have, that some things that you wish that you had that are maybe a fallacy, or maybe they are something that'll give value to your life. But being able to really sit down and kind of assess what it is that you want in life. Where do I see myself? Can I envision that happen? And changing the mindset of being like, instead of, oh, well, that would be nice to be like that, or that would nice to be there, or what do I have to do in my life to make sure that that happens? We all have heard the saying YOLO, you only live once. But why is that? Trying every drug on the market? Why is that? Partying it up and being out of your mind half the time? Or why isn't it being, I want to live where I want to live, I want to feel, I want to experience the things of life, and good people, and leveling up, and being the best version of myself, and learning, and all that. That's really what YOLO should really stand for, is the steps that you take, and they're going to be hard. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to win. You're going to fail. You're going to do all that. But that constant persistence all the time of wanting to, like you say, level up all the time.
Yeah, and I think when you finally get to a place in your life where you're like, man, I love the way I feel. I love my head being clear. I have these goals. I have this vision, and I want to enjoy every minute of it as I can without having my mind clouded. Or I want to be clear headed. I want to enjoy. I want to live in this moment, and I want to enjoy every minute without feeling regret or constantly wishing I was somewhere else, or I want this, or you know, and that's hard to get to that point in your life where you're like, man, I'm very content with the way I feel. I'm content with the way things are, because that's really the goal in life. And everybody's pursuing that. And we also have to be careful that when we do get it, we recognize it and don't try to, you know, brush it off as like, wow. Because I look back at sometimes and I'm like, wow, those were the good old days, and now I'm living the good old days. These are the good old days. And so the journey's
You
been,
don't stop there.
yeah,
But you
yeah,
don't stop there. Yeah, even if you're content. So I think some people get
right,
in a mindset where even if you get there, then that doesn't mean that's the end of the road. There's plenty of other things that you can still progress on and still learn, and
yeah,
still, all about self, all about your surroundings. But then I think some people get stuck in their lifestyle where they think that they don't deserve anything else. So their contentment comes from just This is just how it's going to be. This is how it's been my whole life. Oh, well, I'm an alcoholic. Well, yeah, it's because my dad was an alcoholic my whole life. And so when am I going to live till? I'm going to live till 50 and that's it because that's what my dad did and that's all I know how to do. So they get content because it's almost like they see no other path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's always a constant um, self-improvement. And the more work you do,
Mhm.
it seems like the more work you're going to do, the better you feel, and the lows aren't so low. And when things happen, it doesn't seem to be, they don't seem to have quite the drastic effect, or you don't feel the need to go try to cover something up. You actually feel it, and you work through it. You can be there and present and feel those feelings, work through that, and then get on with your life. And ideally, I think that for me, that's been, you know, the goal for me is to get to where, when adversity happens, I find a way to get through it. I don't, I don't skirt around it, mask it, push it off, or, try to um, cloud it with something else. I work through it, and then I can look back and say that was an experience that I learned something from. Now, how can I take that experience and show others, how I got through that? Because that's really what my whole journey has been about, and my blueprint is showing others the steps that I took to get sober, to stay sober, to start and create businesses, to become successful, to get my physical health, my mental health, and my relationship with my wife, with Celeste. Like, those are all of the things that I've worked on, and I feel that I've been very successful at. And now I want to show others, if this is what I did, and it worked for me, and I was in a really bad place. So I have all those things, and you know it's great. So
Yeah, and if you're out there listening right now and anything that we've said has resonated with you, we're ready to help, and we have the resources for that. You can go to damonnichols.com and you can get on there and you can sign up for programming with him to really start getting that stuff's kickstarted. If you kind of been kicking the can down the road, and there's certain things in your life where you're just like, man, why do I do that? Why do I react that way? Why do I feel like I have to do this type of destructive behavior? Why is my relationship so bad with this person? Why can't I get through some of these things? Why am I stuck in the 9 to 5? There are resources for you and we can help you achieve that. So making sure there's going to be a link down below on this to get to damonnichols.com so you can sign up for that type of stuff. So his shirt that he's wearing is our side company called Strength Under Stress. If you are feeling that maybe you have some type of addictive behavior and that you need some help as well, feel free to reach out. Just email strengthunderstress@gmail.com. Let's hear your story. That's the biggest thing. We want to hear your story and where you came from, and that's what gives us passion to do the things that we want to do, and help you guys out. That's the point of this podcast, is not necessarily to just throw a whole bunch of information out with you and you just be like, oh, yep, I understand that. We want to be, this is our call to action to be able to help you guys, but we need to know that you're there and you need to reach out because that's the first step.
yeah, and it's just not the two of us. It's our wives as well, and um, they've got stuff with relationships, things that have dealt with, you know, um, mental health type of issues, uh, anxiety, depression. So I think, my wife has dealt with that and worked with that, and she's gone through all of that and done a lot of work in that area. And those are all things that are, they play a big part in your relationship, and they keep relationships from becoming, the best that they can be, because there was a time where, our relationship was horrible. We she handed me divorce papers at one point because it got that bad.
Yeah.
Now we're best friends, and like, we look forward to the time where we can we intentionally take, an hour or two every day to just be there with each other, in the morning. That's our morning routine, is to spend that time with each other and build and grow that relationship, because I feel that your partner, your husband, your wife, whatever, they need to be 100% with you on your journey. And the stronger that you grow together, the stronger everything becomes.
Very much so. And so the experience that you guys have had is so much different than ours. I've been newly married in the last 6 to 8 months, and my wife, I had never been married before, and my wife was married for 20 years in a emotionally abusive, narcissistic, gaslighting type of relationship. And so transitioning into that, of some of the traumas that she had to endure, grow up in a very, very religious household, to, you know, trying to understand what your place is, and end up developing sort of a people pleasing type of thing. You always had to say yes to, then having to go bury yourself in your room for a year because you were so tired of just people in general, and that's just not how you want to be. So really powerful with her and those relationships of, how do we work with relationship building back with maybe some of our kids that we've sort of lost relationships with, or with our parents, or things with ourselves. And really, I mean, it starts with the things in yourself to be able to teach that. And so that's why us, with Strength Under Stress, we have so many different avenues of things, with things that your wife is doing, to things that my wife is doing, and that relationship portion, and how they make us be better men. And so hopefully in turn, that us being better men then helps them be better women, and that we can come together and really teach people how healthy relationships look, even when two people come together and had two different lifestyles. They experience different things. They fight different traumas, and that we can work on ourselves while we're also making the best of our relationships as well. So that's what makes them so powerful. So we love them very much, and we want to help support them in success of people. So if you have anybody out there that's really struggling with relationships, then you can also reach out to Damon, or you can reach out to Strength Under Stress, and we'll get you to Katie and Celeste, and they can really help you work through some stuff. Or if you have, maybe a kid that's 16 and has now started dating and hasn't really learned boundaries and keeps going back to a toxic partner, and we don't want this to turn into something that evolves and creates traumas that are down the road. Then let's start working with them now, because I think we bypass the wounds for a long time until they're so deep that it's so hard. That's why people neglect them, because the wound has got so weak or so deep that they don't want to work on it because it hurts, right? And so if we can kind of get that early on and establish things of what boundaries look like, and and empowerment of what you should be able to take, and understand yourself, and set up those things with a partner, then they're going to be very successful in their relationships and what they want to do in life, and be an entrepreneur, and be highly successful, do well in school, do all the things that maybe we're taught that we should do, to all the things that we just don't get taught very much. And that's really the problem, is a lot of that stuff is things that we don't get taught, and they just get pushed down through generations. But there is help out there with people that have lived and experienced it. So now's the time, because you don't want to let this go on any further.
Yeah. Well, I know collectively we have a lot of resources, and if we ourselves aren't able to, help directly, we know a lot of people that can. And so if you're struggling, you're having issues, you've got, something in your life going on, just definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And like you said, you can find me at damonnichols.com. I have the book, The Breakout Blueprint. You go to strengthunderstress.com, strengthunderstress at gmail.com. And your email, what's your email, Jake?
Well, just go to strengthandstress at
Strength Under-
gmail.com. Yeah, that'll be the
Okay.
easiest one, so that all your information, if you're telling us a story, you want to reach out, or just kind of inquire about what we got going on, then that's an easy way to do that. We've got a couple of bugs that we're fixing on the website right now, so that should be back live here shortly, and get that on there. But all those links on Damon's stuff, and Katie and Celeste and myself will all be on there. And and really going to kickstart this and helping people out. But it really starts with you. You have to have a willingness to want to change, even though you might not know what that looks like or how that's going to feel, or you might not even know exactly what you need to work on. But if you know that there's just something that you wake up in the day and just something doesn't feel right in your flow and you're just unhappy about things, that's your first indication that there's something back there, and we just need to address it. And it just starts with one conversation with the right person saying the right thing, that maybe 1,000 people have told you the exact same thing, but it takes that one person to change
Yep.
and to make you see things differently.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes of the Breakout podcast. And for now, with Jake, I'm Damon Nichols, and we will talk to you guys soon. See you later.
See ya.